What's going on, everyone? Yes, today is another toy review, and yes, the man that stands in front of you is Azumi Shinichi from the epic manga / anime Parasite. Now, this particular version of Shinichi is considered the manga version, which is kind of odd because the anime version, they pretty much look alike. The only difference is this particular version has black hair, where the anime version is like brown hair, but the hairstyles change in both. So I don't really see why they consider one over the other. Also, his shirt that he's wearing, which is like a gray, is like actually a white in the manga. And I don't think he even wore this in the anime. I'm pretty sure he didn't. But beyond all that, this figure here is actually made by Super Action Statue toy line, which is Medicos. And they knocked this figure out of the park. The quality on this figure is amazing across the board. I'm going to show you what this figure has to offer and some of the parts that it doesn't have to offer. So, first and foremost, let's go ahead and look at detail. So, on the detail wise, Medicos, so far since everything I've been buying from them, must say their paint jobs is phenomenal. Detail and sculpting, everything. So when you even look at his shirt, you can see like slight darks, some lights, make great shadows without you even having to deal with a lighting system. Having lights flash on them or casting shadows on them is just really well painted. Even when you look at his skin tone looks really nice at some spots. Like especially the hands is really detailed. You look at the pants, they're stone wash. They look really, really good. Having that whole white, the grays, the light blues, the dark blue, just making everything pop really, really well. Even when you look at the pants layer, you can see the stitching. It's really well done, even on the cuff. The shoes are nice and dirty. Everything looks really, really good. And be honest with you, by seeing this only makes me want to continue to collect from them. They have a few other figures that's going to be coming out. I know you got a few people that's big on Tokyo Ghoul. They actually did show 2 prototype toys coming from that manga / anime world. So you definitely should keep an eye out on that. Looking at this particular figure, this is nothing but greatness. So there's a detail in the hair. Once again, like I said, nice skin tones. Looks really, really legit. They did a really good job. And the shoes are nice and worn and dirty. Alright, and here's the back. Look at that hair. Alright. Now, let's go ahead and jump into height comparison. Bring him back a bit. So, Shinichi stands about 6 inches tall. I thought he was a little bit taller until I actually put him next to a few other figures and pretty much told me exactly how tall he was without me having to do any measurements. So he's pretty much the exact same height as Guyver. Guyver's head is just a lot smaller, so it just looks like he's taller than Guyver when initially he's not. Looking at a Greg Capullo Quarter Owl's figure, Talon. That's how tall Talon stands over him. Alright. And just comparing a considered 1/6 scale figure. Here is an Ava unit. Crouching really, really low. And that's how tall he is to a 1/6 scale figure. This particular figure is ginormous, but you got the point. So, let's go ahead and move them out of the way real quick. As for accessories, this toy nails this shit so well. And I'm talking about really good. The cool part about this figure is that you actually get to see times and arcs in the story through his accessories. So I'll give you several things. I'm not going to get too deep into the character just because I don't want to make this video too long, but beyond all that, I also don't want to give away too much. So his hair, you notice it's like spiked up, and then you look at this version and his hair is kind of like down. Besides his concerned, I just shit myself in a crowd full of people face. But the thing is, this is an actual art change. And I'm not going to say exactly which one is which, but it is a difference. Now, that is one great decision that I like, the fact that they're using accessories that's telling different timelines. So you got that going, right? You also have a timeline change with this accessory, which is really nicely detailed. This is like some type of knife that's old and rusted. You can see a little bit of blood splatter on there. Almost look like a shaving knife. But like I said, once again, really detailed. Looks really good. Get that. You're going to receive this, which is pretty much a stick that he turned into a spear, which looks really cool. Pretty basic, but very nice, and the job gets done. You can even see the small spirals from the cut marks in the tree. That's really nicely detailed. You're going to get this part, which you pull off his elbow joint and you replace it with this little eyeball. And it's just a peg system. It goes right into the socket. Really simple and easy. You pretty much make it look like his arm was severed. Now, before I get too far into the rest of the accessories, because I meant to actually tell you this at the beginning, because I normally do it at the beginning, but I forgot, so forgive me. The thing about Parasite, if you've never seen it, this is why you should see it. Has a lot of different things going on in it. It's really well told, and beyond all that, some really cool shit in the anime. So, the thing about Parasite is that the world actually gets inhabited by some parasites, which is alien beings. I'm not telling you a big part in the story because this is like revealed in the first 10 minutes. Like shit, first 5 minutes of the actual story when you cut the anime on. The thing is, these parasites' whole goal is to get inside of a human's head, eat it, and replace it with themselves. That way they can live amongst humans without humans knowing it, and they can slowly feast on humans. So, what actually occurred, the alien attacked Shinichi in his sleep. He sneezed, blew the alien out of his nose. The alien tried to attack again. Shinichi put his hand up, and it goes inside of his hand, and it eats his whole forearm and down, and it replaces itself with itself. So now he lives with a missing limb that's replaced with an alien, and he pretty much gets to learn how this alien works. This alien gets to learn how he works, and their whole goal is to exterminate other parasites. And it's really cool. So, like I said, if you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and watch it. So the reason I was saying that in the first place is because the accessories play a huge factor. Let me go ahead and show you. So right now you're looking at two ball fists, right? And first glance, they look identical. Well, here's the difference. Look at that palm, it's nothing. Look at this palm, there's an eyeball. This is the arm that was severed. This is really cool. Even just having that little tiny detail, I admire. And these hand sculpts are just phenomenal. They look really good. Not even just with paint job, just sculpted really well. So Migi, which is the alien that he names, you're going to get several versions of Migi in hand form or not. So in this version, you're going to get Migi when he's kind of like walking around on his own. This here is on the swivel. Can do a full 360. These are little ball joints, which you can kind of angle it however which way you like. His tail can be removed, and you can put this on his wrist. So you remove the hand, and you literally just put this on the wrist, and then you got Migi on his hand. This particular version of Migi, and I'll show you another version real quick. This is the other version, the more calm Migi, where he's not trying to kill some damn body. This one don't really have posability. You just pretty much take the tail off, put it on the wrist. These versions are meant to go on this particular joint. So when Shinichi got his arm removed and was replaced with Migi, it actually can make his arm, or Migi can make its body elongated and stretched pretty much to some really ridiculous lengths, but it's really nice. So it's cool by them implementing this into the toy, accessory wise. You can really capture some moments of how the anime and the manga did. So this is your peg, which it automatically comes with an extra peg and an extra peg for the elbow. I think this is really, really, really great, because nobody wants to fight with a peg over and over again, trying to take it out of the joint and replace it into another joint when they just gave you just another peg. So this was really cool that they wasn't cheap and trying to make us use the same shit that he already have. They just gave you extras. So this is nice. This swivels, okay, on both parts. What's nice about this as well, this is on just a simple peg system, which you can pull apart. So I like this because you don't got to worry about breaking it. You just have to be a complete fuck up to break it. And it goes on pretty well. Really simple. Same piece down here, okay? So you pretty much put Migi, them two versions that you've seen, on there, and it almost looks like he stretched his arm and he's like walking around the house, which is really, really nice. You're gonna get some other hand scopes that's really, really detailed. I'm going to move this aside. You're gonna receive Migi when he's kinda in defense mode, but more so like searching the area, scouting. So you see this little eyeball, and then you see like the middle finger. That's clearly Migi going on right there, just on that slight defense, which is really cool. I like this a lot. So this particular signature hand gesture is done in the anime. So that's really cool that they even captured that. So you get that hand. You're going to receive a sprawled out hand, like so, but that's Migi in the middle, which I think is also really nice, really nicely detailed. See the knuckle lines? They did such a great job on this. All right. You're going to get kind of a carrying hand. Now this hand is the only hand that's meant for the left side. This is the little knife that you seen earlier, and it actually goes in, and it holds it holds the stick as well, and it goes in pretty fairly well. I haven't tried it yet, but let's see. I'm pretty sure it will, because I haven't had any issues dealing with their toy line putting weapons in. And exactly what I said, really easy. And it's nice and snug. And all I did was, just in case if you're going to do it at home, turn it sideways like so, and then turn it. So there you go. You're going to receive this little hand here, which is pretty hilarious, of Migi, like grinning, trying to give Shinichi like a fucking hug or something. But it's really nice, really cool design. You can even see the lines in the hand. They did such a great job on molding. All right. You're going to get this defensive hand, which is also a signature hand in the anime that you see a lot, and in the manga that you see a lot. Really cool. All right. And then last but not least, you get Migi when he turns to a full-fledged blade. And this is also another turning point in the arc. So Really, really cool. So that is all of the accessories that you're going to get with Shinichi. Now getting into articulation. Shinichi actually loses a few parts of articulation out of the standard, what is that? JoJo toy line. They had a little bit more posability than Shinichi does. But this figure is so well done. And it looks so good. And the posability, even though it's removed on certain parts, it doesn't hinder the toy at all. It doesn't make you dislike the toy at all. It still nails it. And he actually comes with something that the other figures don't have. And I'll show that to you as well. So, his head is on a ball joint. Okay. Which is attached to a hinge. Which he gets to look down about that much. Then he has clearly a neck joint. And if you push that down, you get a huge range to look down. You can clearly turn 360 if you like. Tilting, I wouldn't try too much because you don't want to break that peg that goes into the head. As for on the neck, this might be able to tilt, but I'm gonna be honest with you, it's kind of hard to try to tilt his head and tilt this. I wouldn't attempt it because you don't want to break nothing. So I would just leave it be. At least that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to mess with it like that. I haven't had no problems out of it, but I just, looking at these tight cuts around the neck, it'll probably be a stupid thing to try to force. Okay. Now coming down to his shoulders, these are on a ball joint, which is attached to a peg. You can clearly see a slight movement of the ball joint. The arm goes up about that high without turning anything at all. Clearly you can do a full 360 with the arm if you like. Just bring it on up. And you can go out that far. Okay, so it's not hindered at all dealing with the posability of the arm itself. Since it's on a peg system, it can swivel somewhat at the shoulder, which is kind of like a bicep swivel, but not at all. But you do get that little bit of movement. I do like the fact that it's extremely flush. It doesn't hinder the movement, but it also keeps it looking good. You don't see any type of joint holes, and I think that's what their goal was. So with the JoJo figures, they have a bicep swivel. He don't have any clearly. Another thing that they don't have on this particular figure, which I don't feel bad about it. I kind of wish he had it, but it's not a big deal. Is that this particular figure does not come with double hinge elbows. It comes with single hinge. You can swivel at the top of the bicep. At the bottom of the bicep and at the top of the forearm. So you can actually swivel left and right so you can get a little bit more dynamic poses. Going down to the wrist, this is the same. Single hinge, like so. And you can do a full 360 on the wrist. All right. Now going to the body, go about that far down, which is actually really nice, without moving the waist at all. Moving the waist, you get about that far, which is not too much more, but a little bit. Going back, you get a huge amount of range. All right. And he can tilt really nice left and right. Still probably some of the best tilt I've seen in most smaller scale figure shit. Even Play Arts Kai figures have a problem sometime where they can't tilt that much. So this is really nicely done. Speaking of Play Arts Kai, they took a Play Arts Kai decision, which I hope they do this to the rest of the toy line figures. This is actually a harder rubber than a Play Arts Kai, but it's clearly a soft plastic. I'm sorry, not a harder rubber, but a harder plastic versus the soft plastic on the Play Arts Kai. It does have give, so it's a lot better than the JoJo figures, because the JoJo figures doesn't have a floating crotch piece. They're just solid plastic. So there's no give at all when you're doing leg poses, things of that nature. So this is really, really smart and good that they chose to do that. Now on his hips, they're on ball joints, which is attached to a swivel. So you can actually swivel like this. It looks really flush. I like that a lot. The paint job is actually in the joint itself, so you don't lose any qualities when you're actually doing the poses. Going out, he goes about that far out, which is not by much. You can actually turn it, my boy was telling me. like so, and then turn in the swivel. So that's how you kind of maneuver their legs around. So that was actually pretty cool too. One thing you want to be careful with, I've noticed this, I even told my boy the same thing. He has way more of this toy line than I do, period. But one thing I had a gripe about, which this figure doesn't display that, which I'm really happy. It doesn't display the fact that the ball joint gets loose. With my JoJo figures that I reviewed earlier this year, or earlier these few months or whatever, the thing is, when I move the leg, maybe 2 or 3 times, the legs start feeling kind of loose on the ball joint. He feels a lot more firm when it comes down to moving his legs, so this is a lot better. Now going down to his not elbows, going down to his knees, these are on double hinges like the JoJo figures. He get a huge bend. Let me go ahead and come back a bit so you can see. He get a huge bend in the knee, which looks really clean, nicely done. His knee joint is clearly better than the JoJo figures because the JoJo figures are a lot larger in the thigh and in the shin, so it's more of a problem. Now going down to his ankle, he can go about that far back and forth. He can actually pivot to get wider stances, and he has a toe joint as well. So this is really, really nice. I'm really digging this figure. So that is all of the articulation dealing with Shinichi. So overall thoughts on this figure, I will have to say, pick him up. I have no bad feelings about this figure. I love it actually. If you are a fan of Parasite, definitely do yourself a favor and pick up this figure. It is really well done. It was definitely worth the money. They have them on Ami for really cheap. That would probably be your best bet to go just to get an import at a better cost. Now, as for the materials, here's Parasite anime. I got this off of eBay for like 10 bucks. Just make sure if you get it off of eBay, make sure you look and get this box, because they do have others that just has like 1 through 12 or some shit, which I fucked up and got the first time before the second half was out. So this is actually both DVDs of the whole thing. And like I said, literally $10, and I got a free anime that came with it from this company. So do yourself a favor, check this out. That is the end of my review. Hope y'all have a great day. Continue to collecting shits, and peace.